My world. Born and raised in a small town in Canada, Justin went from singing in local talent shows to becoming an internet sensation. His mom started posting videos of him covering songs by artists like Nayo and Chris Brown, which got discovered by Scooter Braun. This was when the whole Bieber story started. The lead single, One Time, hit the top 20 in 6 countries, including America and Canada. This was really big for a young and rising artist. Then came One Less Lonely Girl, the song that really set the tone for Bieber's early image and literally turned him into every girl's pop crush. Justin himself told MTV that it was all about making girls feel seen and valued, and honestly, he did exactly that. When he sings lines like, "There's gonna be one less lonely girl," it's just so smooth that it's hard not to feel special, even today. Back then, I remember wondering, how many other girls felt the same way, daydreaming of being that lucky girl. And then there's Favorite Girl. For me, this was the track that made me a full-on believer, especially the acoustic version. Just Justin with a guitar, no big production, and it felt so raw and sweet, like he was singing straight to you. Those stripped-down performances were what made him feel so genuine in the beginning. My World was actually the first half of a 2-piece project, and it did numbers. It debuted at number 6 on the Billboard 200 with first week sales of 137,000 copies, later peaking at number 5. In Canada, it went straight to number 1 and was certified double platinum, and the UK gave it the same recognition, which was pretty impressive for a small town kid making his big debut. My World 2.0. I remember being super excited for this album, released on March 19, 2010. I kid you not, I played every track on repeat. I think many girls, including me, were already obsessed with his hair by this point, but this album was just what every teenage girl could ask for. Songs that felt like Cupid's arrows hitting you, the charm that made you blush, and the kind of beats that makes you want to dance all day. The lead single, Baby, was something else. If I had to use every sweet word in the dictionary, it still wouldn't be enough to explain how good this track was. It was the kind of song every girl sang into a hairbrush while getting ready for literally anything. The hook was unforgettable. The second you heard it in the gym, the mall, or a cafe, you knew what was playing. And the lyrics was so catchy that I still remember belting out, "Baby, baby, baby, oh," and even trying to rap along to "When I was 13, I had my first love." The music video was simple but perfect, just a fun bowling alley hangout like something every girl could imagine herself in. I remember wishing I was the girl playing his crush. I'm sure I wasn't the only one. And then there was That Should Be Me. This was such an underrated song. I was so used to Justin's fun and catchy songs that this one really caught me off guard. His vocals were so smooth and the lyrics hit in a way that felt so real. It was the kind of song every teenager would play alone in their room, thinking about that crush who liked someone else. I think what made Justin Bieber's songs so good was not just his vocals, but the way he connected with his listeners and fans. The delivery was just so on point and flawless. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 283,000 first-week sales, making Bieber the youngest solo male artist to top the chart since Stevie Wonder in 1963. It was nominated for a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Album at the 53rd Grammy Awards. And honestly, I still belt out Baby during a girls' night out or karaoke. The song never gets old. Under the Mistletoe. Just when we thought Justin was all about teenage crushes and heartbreak, he dropped a Christmas album on November 1st, 2011. Whoever came up with the idea of giving us a Bieber holiday record was honestly brilliant. Under the Mistletoe felt like a real pop album, wrapped in colorful Christmas lights. The lead single, Mistletoe, is pure, cozy vibes. Warm and fuzzy would be the words I used to describe it. It was sweet, catchy, and just the right mix of R&B pop charm to make it feel original. Honestly, it still plays on repeat every December, and I can't imagine Christmas without it. What made the album even cooler were the collabs. Getting Mariah Carey on All I Want for Christmas Is You was huge. The video had this fresh, sparkly vibe. The mix of cute Justin next to glam and sexy Mariah was kind of fun in its own way. It's one of those things I smile at now and secretly love to rewatch every holiday season. The album debuted at number 1 on both the Billboard 200 and the Billboard Top Holiday Albums chart, selling 210,000 copies in its first week. That made Justin the first male artist ever to debut a Christmas album at number 1. By the end of 2011, it had sold over 1.2 million copies in America, making it the 11th best-selling album of the year. For a Christmas album, this was a massive success. Believe. During this period, everyone was wondering where Justin would take his music after the schoolboy crush era. He was growing up, his voice was changing, and to be honest, it felt like a make or break moment. Would he be able to transition into a more mature sound, or would his career fade as just another teen phase? Believe was his answer. Released on June 15th, 2012, this album was completely different from anything we'd heard before. Believe had urban and house influences, aiming for a sound that could appeal to a wider audience. When Boyfriend dropped, I'll admit I didn't even realize it was Justin at first. It sounded totally different, and I noticed other people reacted the same way. They liked it, even if they had once hated him. Of course, his sudden bad boy era, calling himself swaggy and trying on this new grown-up image, came off a little corny at times. But the music was solid. Singles like Boyfriend, As Long As You Love Me, and Beauty and a Beat were massive, proving he could move past the teen idol label. Personally, I've always loved As Long As You Love Me. The music video was super cliche, all drama, fight scenes, and running after love, but in the best way. It felt more like a mini movie than a regular music video, and teenage me was hooked. And when he sang, "As long as you love me, we could be starving," I remember getting full-on chills. It felt like the most dramatic romantic thing ever. Believe debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200 albums chart, with first week sales of 374,000 copies, and was later certified platinum. It was the 6th best-selling album of 2012 worldwide, with sales of 3 million copies. Purpose. Let's talk about Justin Bieber's album Purpose, because there was arguably no other album like it. While Believe was Bieber's teenage cool boy era, Purpose for some reason felt like a huge transition into adulthood. Released on November 13th, 2015, this album came after a dark period where Justin pulled away from both his mom and longtime manager Scooter Braun, making headlines for drag racing a yellow Lamborghini, egging a neighbor's house, reckless driving, and his very public on-again, off-again relationship with Selena Gomez. His career needed a comeback, and Purpose was his answer. 2015 became Justin's big turnaround year. He even admitted, "People are really interested because of the transition from boy to man. Finally, I'd pushed for so long and been so consistent. It's either this way or no way, that they let me do what I wanted." And you could tell that determination paid off. The album blew me away the first time I listened. Love Yourself especially felt like such a huge shift. With its minimalist acoustic guitar and slow, waltz-like rhythm, it stripped away all the flashy production and left us with raw authenticity. Lyrics like, "All the times that you in my place," cut straight to the point, as if he was finally confronting the emotional toll of a toxic relationship, allegedly with Selena. The song's strength was in its simplicity. You could feel his maturity, his self-awareness, and honesty. And then there was, What Do You Mean? I completely lost my mind over that one. Justin himself joked that the lyrics came from how girls are often just flip-floppy. They say something and mean something else.
Girls are often like, just flip-floppy.
I love that you're whispering.
I'll be real, I can be flip-floppy too. But beyond that, it was the perfect pop track for the millennial era. Bouncy, fresh, and so catchy that I still remember dancing around to it on repeat. And let's not forget the amazing track Sorry. For me, what made this track super sick were the lyrics. They were just so fire. Justin straight up owned up to his mistakes with the lyrics. "I know you know that I made those mistakes maybe once or twice." This is honesty level 100. It was the kind of song that felt like he wasn't just singing to an ex, but to all of us fans he let down during his wild years. Purpose debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard 200, earning 649,000 album equivalent units in its first week of release. It gave Bieber the largest first week sales of his career and his 6th number 1 album in the United States. The album was nominated for Album of the Year and Best Pop Vocal Album at the 2017 Grammy Awards. To add a cherry on top, Love Yourself was nominated for Song of the Year and Best Pop Solo Performance. Changes. Released on February 14th, 2020, Changes was Justin's most chillax, low-key album, but one that carried a lot of hidden meaning. As the follow-up to 2015's chart-topping Purpose, it felt like a statement of love and healing. Instead of chasing radio hits, Justin sang about how much Hailey Bieber, whom he married in 2018, gave him a sense of stability after so many crazy years in the spotlight.
My life is changing a lot. Getting married, getting back in the studio.
This was Justin choosing honesty over hype. After controversies, public scandals, and what we later learned in his Seasons docuseries, struggles with depression and heavy drug use, Changes was him telling the world he had finally found peace. Even though Purpose had been a massive success, it couldn't fix everything. Justin canceled the last leg of that tour due to exhaustion and burnout, then disappeared from the album cycle for years. By the time Changes arrived, fans weren't even sure he'd come back at all, which made this record feel even more personal and special. The hit single Intentions featuring Quavo was basically a love letter to Hailey. Justin praises everything from her beauty to her independence. This line was so cute. He even called out her parents for raising her right. It's sweet, light, and full of warmth. You can feel how smitten he was. I'll admit, getting used to the fact that Justin was married wasn't easy for me, but honestly, seeing him find love made it worth it. Yummy was the lead single, and at first, it felt like just a fun party track with a catchy hook. We all had, yeah, you got that yummy, yum. But over time, I realized the video had layers. The food imagery wasn't random. Some fans pointed out that the cherry in the sandwich could symbolize Justin's innocence. Protected at first, but later shown as rotten, hinting at the way the industry and figures like Diddy tried to control or corrupt him. Even the dancers in all-white outfits drew comparisons to Diddy's infamous white parties, giving the whole thing a darker, more unsettling undertone. So while Yummy might have sounded like pure bubblegum at first, the video made me look twice. It wasn't just about fun and flirting, but maybe also about Justin quietly telling us more about what he went through. The album debuted, topped the US Billboard 200 chart, and sold 231,000 album equivalent units within its first week. This was considerably less than the first week's sales of Purpose. However, I really don't think Changes was about chasing chart success. It felt more like Justin letting us into his world, raw, mellow, and filled with love. Justice. Justice was released on March 19, 2021, and to me, this album was all about lifting people up in a world full of chaos and injustice. When sharing about it on the Zach Sang Show, Justin admitted that not everyone lives like him. While some people are just trying to put food on the table, he has the privilege of making music. His mindset was,
if I can use that to bring people some sort of rest and reprieve, and that's ultimately what I want to do.
And you can really feel that intention woven throughout the album. Whether you're a fan of Justin or not, chances are you heard Peaches in the summer of 2021. That song was everywhere, blasting from cars, parties, and radios all season long. Personally, I think it's best enjoyed with the windows down, wind in your hair, maybe even late at night driving with the music cranked up. As for the lyrics, people have debated their meanings, but my take?
I got my peaches out in Georgia. Oh, yeah, shit.
Hints to his early Atlanta days.
I get my weed from California.
Is pretty self-explanatory.
I took my chick up to the north, yeah.
Is likely about bringing Hailey to his home in Canada. More than anything though, Peaches is such an uplifting song about falling in love and staying in love, and that's exactly why it stuck with so many of us. Then there was Lonely, the outlier of the whole album, but the one that hit me the hardest. This song felt like opening Justin's diary and reading the darkest pages. It reflects on how fame and money never shielded him from feeling isolated, especially during his teenage years when the world was judging his every move. The lyrics are brutally honest about the criticisms he faced and the emotional toll of not having anyone who truly understood him. The first time I listened to the song, I cried. Hearing him sing that raw pain with such vulnerability was heartbreaking, but also incredibly brave. Justice topped the charts of 10 countries, including the US Billboard 200. This made him the youngest solo artist to achieve as many #1 albums at 27 years old. I was a proud believer once again. Swag won for the longest time. I think all of us were wondering if Justin would ever release new music again, considering everything he had been through. Looking back, he really went through a lot. From the crazy lawsuits with Scooter Braun, to selling his entire catalog, to the non-stop public shaming from the internet. It felt like people just wouldn't leave him alone. That's why Swag One, released on July 11, 2025, felt so special. I remember subscribing to the album release on Spotify and being so excited the night before, because by this point, Justin was finally in full control, writing music on his own terms and actually owning it. This was his declaration of independence. The lead single, Daisies, was probably the first song I had to replay again. This is the perfect track if you haven't seen your boo in a while and miss them, especially with the lyrics. My personal favorite was Yukon. Justin tweaked his voice on this one, but for some reason, I loved it so much. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the guitar, the R&B, Latin vibe, his smooth delivery, or everything combined. The black and white video feels like a love letter to Bieber's new chapter as a husband and father. I saw intimate moments of Justin and Hailey basking in the sun with their 11-month-old son, Jack Blues. From sweet kisses on tiny toes to quiet family cuddles, the visuals paint a warm, tender portrait. Watching him like this honestly melted my heart. It's so different from the wild tabloid years. You can really see how much he's grown and how happy he is in this season of life. It almost feels like we're being invited into their family scrapbook for a few minutes, and I couldn't stop smiling the whole time. We also have to talk about the 50-second interlude Standing on Business. This was so unexpected, and of course, the reference behind it cracked me up. The piece is Justin's response to that viral Standing on Business confrontation he had with paparazzi outside the Soho house in Malibu.
It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that
What I love is that it shows he's taking his public existence less seriously these days. In America, Swag One debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 with nearly 200 million streams. His biggest streaming week ever. But honestly, the real win wasn't the numbers. It was seeing Justin fully own his life, his music, and his story again. Swag 2. And just when I thought he'd take a breather, he surprised us again with Swag 2, a reissue of Swag 1 on September 5th, 2025. He didn't just tack on a few extras, he added a whole 23 new tracks. Honestly, part of me still wonders why he didn't just drop it as a completely new studio album. But either way, I wasn't complaining. The songs on Swag 2 made me want to give him a giant virtual hug. They carry this mix of strength, freedom, and heart that feels like Justin finally stepping back into his own. Not as the kid we all grew up watching, not as the tabloid headline, but as an artist on his own terms. It's raw in places, playful in others, but all of it feels his. He sounds better than ever here. No oversinging, no trying too hard, just letting the songs breathe and shine. I'm literally listening to this album as I write this, and I have to say, I'm obsessed with the track I Do. It just radiates warmth and gives you that butterfly feeling. I'm calling it now. This is going to be a first dance wedding song for so many couples. It already sounds like a classic. There's this sweetness floating throughout the entire album that I can't quite pinpoint. It's just everywhere. My other favorite is Mother in You. Justin is fully in his fatherhood era here, and it's so beautiful to see. The song is about his son, Jack Blues Bieber, and it feels like the first time he's openly written about him in his music. From the first verse, he reflects on how becoming a dad has completely changed him. With gentle acoustic strums and his soft, high vocals, one of those songs that makes you feel like you're peeking into a private family moment, and it honestly melted me. With Swag 2, he gave us a window into who he is right now, an artist, a husband, a dad, and someone finally free to do things his way. After everything he's been through, hearing him this open and grounded feels like such a gift. Honestly, I don't know what's next for him, but if this era is any indication, we're in for something really special.